Do I need to go to your?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, guys? What is up? I got Norman Lee here with me, and
What's going on, guys?
And we have two special guests today, Norman.
Yes, we
Not
do.
just one. We got two. We got our favorite fishing ladies. We have Lori and Beth with two chicks and a boat. How are y'all doing today?
What's going on, guys?
We're doing great. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, we're doing awesome. Thank you very much for inviting us to your show.
We definitely been waiting on this. When we decided that we was going to do a podcast, y'all were one of the first people that we were like, we have to get them on, and we just love y'all to death, and we want to. We support everything that y'all are doing, so we want to show y'all love and have y'all on here. So let's just.
Thank you.
Let's talk about a little bit of what y'all got going on right now. If
First off,
you
I
don't
gotta give a quick shout out to the people that I left working. So I picked up a part-time job at the airport. I work for Spirit Airlines, and they let me leave a little early. So I want to give a shout out to my manager Robert and my supervisors. Amia and Mohammed and Erica and Cody. So we're good to go. So they let me leave a little early. We had some flight delays, so I will maybe go back a little bit later tonight. But anyhow, quick shout out to them.
Got your own
yeah, so no planes are going to be delayed because you're not there and giving and blowing the kisses to the pilots, right?
You're exactly right. And today I actually got to marshal in a flight, which I've never done before. So I was super excited to pull the flight in. So it was fun. Yeah, I do always blow them a big kiss when they leave.
So
like,
yeah,
"Crazy girl."
I think that's funny when because I was on the phone with you and we was talking and you said that you do that to every one of them, and I was like, I guarantee you all them pilots know when they come into your airport that they're looking forward to seeing you out there.
Well, thank you. Every now and again, they'll catch it and they'll go like this, or they'll give me a love you sign, and I'm like, yay! It's like a major win in my world.
It's the little things that count, right?
It is 100% the little things. Just like
let's for the people that do not know, Norman and I, we met Lori and Beth last year at ICAST, and we were actually we actually stayed at the same hotel, and so we happened, I think for like 2 days or something like that, we happened to get on the bus at the same time during the couple days that we were there, and we just struck up a conversation, and that conversation still lasting today. So I mean, that's how we were able to meet two chicks and a boat, and it has definitely been a great friendship, and we thoroughly enjoy talking fishing with y'all, and we cannot wait until we get to see you again down at ICAST again. So but we did get to see you here. At the beginning of April, we got to see y'all came down and fished Chickamauga, right?
Yep. Thanks to you. And
Yeah.
thanks to you guys and our connection that we made. So A little backstory on what Beth and I have done. You want to go ahead and share a little bit about
You
it?
can start.
Oh, she's like, I can start. There we go. Beth and I got into fishing. Like, obviously, we fished as kids, and I fished with my dad. She fished with her dad. But we didn't. It's like it was just a great way to go out and relax. And once upon a time, we kept going to boat shows and RV shows, and somebody's like, you guys need to buy a boat. You need to buy a boat. And we're like, okay, let's buy a boat, So it took like a couple years to wear us down. We bought this boat. And
we rented a lot of boats.
We rented a lot of boats. This is true. That's a good point.
We rented a lot of boats, and we were like, we don't need a boat. We'll rent a boat. And then we thought, oh, maybe we need a boat.
That's a good call.
Let's get a boat.
It's a lot better to have your own.
It is. So just to give people the idea of where we started. So we had our boat, and we had like 30 things that we needed to do before we took it out. We don't unhook it until the motor's running, prime the motor, squeeze the little gas bulb, make sure the straps are off, the plug is in. So we went through our list 3 or 4 times. Beth puts me in the water. I'm like, yep, good to go. Life jacket's on, kill switch is on. And then she's like, start her up. And I was like, okay. And nothing happened. So we ran through our list again, and we're like, yeah, the kill switch is up. We primed it. Everything's good. So we called the dealership where we bought the boat. We're like, hey, it's not starting, guys.
Something's wrong.
What do we do? So our guy, we dearly love him. He's like, well, put the phone here, put the phone here, put the phone here. So we put it in all those different spots. And finally he says what?
He says, girls, did you charge that boat? Okay, I got 36 things on here, and I said, that's not one of them.
Not one. Not one said charge the boat.
And I said,
that's one of my favorite stories that y'all have told me.
So we had no idea. So we're like,
I don't charge my truck. Why do I need to charge it?
So we pull the boat out, charge it, and then obviously we started fishing. But that was simply bobber fishing, reading the newspaper, catching a suntan on a Sunday,
bringing your snacks,
snacks and sandwiches, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And then 6 years after having that boat, it was 6 years of a friend of ours who kept saying, girls, you need to tournament fish. You need to tournament fish. And we're like, we don't know anything about it. And he kept trying and trying and trying. And so finally we did. We decided to do it. And we did it in 2012. And it was truthfully because we were down the Florida Keys. Jose Wehebe, one of the guys I loved watching and following since 1995, the Spanish Fly, he had actually passed away, and we were devastated. And we had actually been out on 2 charters with somebody who was his neighbor. We were hoping to meet him, and we said right then and there, you know what, we're gonna fish, and if we ever win, we're gonna donate that money, because I know. And Beth's like, we donate to who? I go, I know they're gonna create something for Jose. And she's like, okay, sounds like a plan. So you want to tell them about how I met Kai?
Oh, I don't really know how.
Okay.
Well, we met Kai at the boat show.
Yeah.
He's the one that wanted us to get into tournament fishing.
Yeah.
He also was instrumental in helping us, understand what tournament fishing was. You don't use live bait. You have to use either plastics or hard baits, which was hard to wrap our heads around.
Yeah.
And so Lori was kind enough to go meet Kai.
During my lunch hour from work.
Yeah. And Lori's at the time.
At the time, I was the safe and drug-free. Yeah, the safe and drug-free schools coordinator.
And they met in a McDonald's parking lot.
And Kai was a police officer.
Yes.
In a black Suburban.
So it didn't look like they were exchanging fish fillets or anything like that.
He opens the back door, and I go up and I give him $50 cash, and he gives me this brown paper bag. And I'm like, this looks bad.
Yeah.
Like, what is
That's a little fishy.
Yeah, exactly. And I look at this and I'm like, what is this? And he goes, these are the plastic worms that you should use on this lake on Saturday. And I'm like, well, I don't even, how do you even put them on the hook? So he gave me a quick lesson in that parking lot. And let me tell you, we have not looked back since, but that is where we teach from when we do our presentations, and that's what we want to explain to people is you too can do this. Get out there and do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We
So-
we
go ahead.
also, when Kai gave us those baits, we were like, "There's no way a fish is going to eat this. They're ugly and big, and I wouldn't want to eat one of these." But when you know it, those fish will eat
Yeah.
them. And we learned real
Yeah,
quick how to do
you
things.
guys just done a seminar. When you guys were actually here doing your first tournament, your tournament series on Chickamauga, you done a seminar at Bass Pro Shop
Yeah.
in Chattanooga. Am I correct?
So we were
hoping to.
we were scheduled to do a seminar there. Unfortunately, we just didn't have enough women attend or
sign
Oh,
up.
I got you.
for it. But the general manager was very sweet to
Great.
allow us to come into their morning meeting with all staff. And so we were able to share what we do for Two Chicks in a Boat and the seminars that we present. And that it became just a, much like the 30 seconds, you and we all became family on a bus trip. And at
That's awesome. That's
we
really
became
awesome.
family with the Chattanooga Bass Pro Shop store,
Oh,
and
cool.
that we would be back, for any
Yeah.
seminars, and they would help us
Yeah.
in any way they
Oh,
can.
that's awesome.
Now-
I was gonna say, backtrack a tad. Of course, you guys have been fishing partners for quite some time. Probably you guys have been fishing.
2012.
How did you guys meet? Did you meet through fishing, or have you been like childhood friends? Or
So I was working on my master's. So I'm currently an active teacher, and Lori's a retired teacher. But when I was working on my master's, I was student teaching in her building, and her building was fantastic.
It was great. Perry Middle School was awesome.
One of the best buildings ever, because everybody in there was family as well. So Lori had an after-school fishing club, and we talked briefly, and she knew that I like to fish, and she said, I need some help.
I did.
And I said, oh, I'm like, I couldn't believe teaching got it even better than what I was doing, that now there's a fishing club for me to help out with. And then that 30 seconds after that, we clicked, and
That's awesome.
we never stopped fishing.
No. And that was back in 2004. So
Yeah.
so I would take the kids after school. Yeah. And it was, we would just walk down to the pond. There's a pond at one of the elementary schools, or I would take all the kids' gear and then meet them there. Then we would fish in the pond, and a lot of those kids are still fishing. A lot of them have moved up to, they're fishing in the ocean. They're doing all kind of stuff right now. So it's pretty cool.
that's super cool.
And what's funny is when we
Now-
were in that fishing club, we were also, man, it would be awesome if we had a boat.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'll also, commend you for working like you did or do,
Oh, yeah.
with the youth, the kind of the future
Oh,
of our sport. And I tell you what, too, with all the great junior anglers that we have right now coming up, boys and girls,
yep.
into the high school ranks, our sport really is in very good hands for a long time with the younger generation that we have coming up in the sport through the junior ranks and the high school ranks as well,
Yeah.
into college.
Now, if how, like, because y'all just don't do seminars just like at Bass Pros and stuff. Y'all actually can go, like, let's say to a bait shop, and you can also do seminars there too, right?
Yeah, we've talked at the National Fishing Expo, which used to be the Columbus Fishing Expo. So we've presented there in the past. We presented the Cleveland Boat Show, which it's a big show. We do a couple seminars for them up there. We've been to Indiana for the Indiana Fishing Show, Tri-County Fishing Show.
We do a lot of like lunch and learns for kids
Oh, yeah.
as well, or camps. There's actually been like a women's camp, and so we teach fishing wherever we could teach fishing.
Yeah.
We're about to go.
Yeah, we just
Now, how can people find, like, if they want y'all to come and do a little seminar and stuff? How can they find you on to be able to contact you on that?
So we have a website. It's www.chicksinaboat.com. And if they go to that website, they'll see a bunch of different, they'll learn more about us. They'll see about the tournament trail. They'll see about our workshops. But there's actually 2 forms on there. One is, I think, on our seminar page, and one is on the very front page. You don't have to go far, that you can just sign up through our email or send us an email, reach out to us, and see if we can get scheduled to come in. I know we're scheduled in June twice already. We're going back to West Jeff, which has been a fantastic opportunity for us with the kids. That this keeps growing and growing.
Yeah.
And then we also speak at our Cabela's here. We used to go to the Bass Pro Shops in Cincinnati. And I gotta always give a shout out to Dave Fisher. He was the guy who first got us there when it was the women's workshop. He unfortunately has passed away, but I always give him a shout out, because if he didn't give us that opportunity in 2015, we might not be where we're at right now. And so he always had us. We would go down there for 4 or 5 years. And now we speak at our Cabela's that's close by. We're actually going to do a Mother's Day thing coming up here in May. But if you go to our website, there's ways you can get a hold of us on there. Also, you can follow us on any of the social media channels.
Message us through Facebook or Instagram, and our email is twochisinaboat@gmail.com.
It's hard to remember.
Number 2. That's the hardest part, is the number 2.
Yeah. Now, let's also, one, I want to talk about y'all's tournament series that y'all have. And 2, let's throw some plugs out for the people that help y'all to be able to do that, as in like the sponsors and stuff, because I know y'all have had, when y'all came here, you was telling me that all the people that had helped y'all, one with especially with y'all getting that new pretty boat that y'all still have not asked me to take a ride in, but but with the trailer that y'all was able to bring down and stuff like that. Also, let's can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So literally a couple years ago, I think it was right after 2020, it might have been 2019. We just talked about how much we enjoyed fishing, and we both have fished the LBAA, which is the Lady Bass Angler Association. It's a national trail. We've fished that, absolutely love that. But just sitting in our local watering hole, which is my first plug, the Classic Sports Bar and Classics Pizza. But Classic Sports Bar, they've been with us since we started fishing, and we love to go and sit. And we talk about how did the tournament go, or we just brainstorm. And on a napkin, it came out to be the Two Chicks in a Boat women's team tournament trail. And we wanted to start a women's team trail because we think that will get more women into it, because they're fishing with a friend. They're fishing with someone they know. They're fishing with someone they're comfortable with. And when you fish the other circuits, you're fishing as a boater and as a co-angler. So we fish the LBAA, and I would worry who is Beth paired with, and if as a boater, if I have a medical emergency, is my co-angler going to be able to get us back to the ramp? It's those things that you worry about. And there's big bodies of water. It's how experienced are the anglers? So that's when that was played into it, is if we do a team trail, you're traveling with someone you're familiar with. You probably know how the boat works and operates. You're also traveling together, so you're breaking up the costs. And our tournament fees are pretty low, so it's $100 for one person, $100 for the other person, So we wanted to make it affordable, and that's kind of where we came from and created this whole thing. And then luckily I retired, and Beth was like, okay, so if you can do as much as you do, because I'm still working, and
I got a couple things to do.
And I'm like, this will be my new job, And so then we've been working on it. And you want to talk about our first sponsor that came on board that has nothing to do with fishing?
Oh, sure. Well, just to add on to what Lori said, when we started fishing tournaments, Kai was truly one of the main reasons why we continue to do it, because he made such a warm, comfortable environment for us to be in, where it really took all of the nerves, the I was scared, all those things. He just took them right out and just made us feel like family.
Yeah.
And nothing was, a dumb question or anything like that. And
Yeah.
we wanted to give all of that back to our trail and to the women that may or may not know what fishing a tournament is like. So we really wanted to make that environment.
And I will
Yeah.
add one thing about Kai is he did provide donuts at the start and hot dogs when we came in at 3, and that was really a big deciding
And prizes
factor.
at the end.
And
So.
Well,
prizes. He did have prizes.
and I was gonna say if he would have done that in any of the tournaments that I fished in, he would have went broke after about 2 tournaments.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So I know
so
we didn't supply the donuts this time or the hot dogs for that reason because we're limited on funds. However, everyone left our tournament with a prize pack, like with something. They left with and we really thank you, Colin, for putting a lot of that together. Norman, you
and
as
which
well.
we actually have Kim on from Jack. She's actually watching it too. So,
Oh, sweet.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kim.
but if you didn't, which Lori and Beth know, Kim from Jack's Bait and Tackle here in Chattanooga donated a fishing rod
And real.
or fishing rod combo
Yeah, combo.
and
Yep.
some a Lou's fishing
Speed.
combo
Yep.
and a little tackle box
Yep.
that had, and it was full of baits, and so um, and so I know that they loved. I think it was so cool because you had told me about, like, I want to make sure that everybody that comes to that they have that they can go away with something. I mean, even if they don't come back and they don't win, or they might not catch a fish, or they might bring in 6 fish, but I mean, you still left with
Yeah.
something. So,
6 fish.
but I do like that aspect because it keeps them being like, well, I did get something out of here, and I might have had a bad day on the water, but I got some heck of baits, or I got a rod and stuff like that, and just seeing the ladies' faces when the prizes and stuff, or the bags and the baits and all that other stuff was given out, they were totally surprised, and and you can tell that they thoroughly enjoyed it. Pretty much, to me, showed me kind of like how y'all felt when y'all had that first tournament and you was able to go home with something that it made it a lot more enjoyable.
It did. Like Beth said, we took it full circle from where we started and what we were able to give back. Bass Pro Shops, giving them a huge shout out. They donated like our bags and hats that we put in every bag, but they also gave us some gift cards. So they supplemented, because of what they donated, we were able to pay out 3 positions. So our third place angler got $100. They both got two $50 gift cards. And then we had the youngest angler. She received a $25 gift card because she was our youngest angler. Mm-hmm. And then our first time tournament angler, Holly Greco, she received the rod and reel combo. Yep. And she'll get the bait when she comes here. We misplaced it, but we found it. Yeah. I know. There's
a lot happening.
A lot happening. But our other sponsors too.
So Mark Wahlberg, Airstream and RV, they here in Columbus, Ohio, they know that's our adult playground. Basically, when we're not fishing, we're going to go look at RVs, and we walk around every single one they have on the lot, and they know us as soon as we walk in. They really were the first to jump on board to help support us financially, and we really appreciate all that they do for us. And along with them, Paul's Marine is who also donated the trailer that we use to take a bunch of supplies that you don't know you really need until you are running a tournament.
What about the scales that y'all had? Because that is top of the line scales that y'all had. That was amazing scales that when you were telling me about it, I really wasn't expecting it to be that nice, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
um,
we were able to, they gave us a little bit of like a 10% discount. They were having a sale whenever we called in there. And so it's pro tournament scales, and they're fantastic, and they work on Bluetooth, and they have the display up that says how much you caught so that people can get pictures of that. And then it tears automatically, like you don't have to hit tear, and they have a basket, and it's stored in a really nice bag, or a,
Like pelican
looks
case.
like a briefcase type
yeah,
deal.
yeah, and it's really nice. We're gonna do a video on that, on how to use the scales, because honestly, guys, we didn't know. We'd never run a tournament before. Now Kai did, and Kai is our tournament director, but we still had to go through all this, and we're all about ease of use. And
Right.
you turn that thing, you charge it, you turn it on and hit a button, and it doesn't get any easier than that.
It's top notch stuff.
It is. So they're
Right.
out of Indiana. It's pro tournament scales.
When and just how y'all done things, you would not have known that that was your first tournament that y'all had put on, because I mean I felt like it went pretty smooth, even though I mean I know y'all didn't have the boats and stuff and the ladies to come in as many as y'all were wanting, but for as smooth as from when I was there, and like how y'all were willing to help people to get in and out of the water, and just the camaraderie that the ladies had, even with I mean because they they were just as happy, um, like with they didn't care who won, and, and then in which I can let y'all talk about this, and but I know two ladies, Norman, that had the winning bag in hand,
Yeah.
and I gotta give y'all props, because a lot of people that I have fished in tournaments with, and Norman can say the same thing, that when they had that six fish in the live well, it would have stayed in the live well.
Yeah.
And so I have to give y'all props,
Yeah.
because that showed them that hey, we're going to run this legit. We don't care what the rules say about it, or if I mean because all the other ladies were saying, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it," and y'all were like, "No, it's the rules.
The rule.
We DQ'd ourselves, and that's what it is." So I got to give y'all props for doing that. Um, and so let's kind of
Why
Beth
not?
and I already had this conversation.
We're gonna go
And
there,
Right.
because we also would have had big bass in the morning. I
Yeah.
laid into a 4.5, almost 5 pounder, and I was like, "Oh, this could be big bass," and I was so
Yeah,
I'll
excited.
tell you something though. What people that don't fish tournaments a lot or don't realize, it's actually pretty easy to do when you get in a mode and you're catching fish and having to call fish.
Yeah,
Because typically when you catch that fifth fish, you have to call on your sixth fish.
yeah,
And I actually ran into a situation. I'll tell a brief story on Okeechobee, where I was on Lake Okeechobee. I was fishing a 30 boat. It was a club tournament, but we had 30 boats in the tournament, and we had a limit at about a half an hour to go till we had to run back to weigh in. And we got on a wave where almost for 15 minutes straight we were catching, 2.5, 3 pounders on every cast,
yeah,
and literally culling on it. I mean, we were culling every cast. My partner would catch a fish, I'd be calling one. I'd get up on the front deck, catch a fish, he'd call one.
yeah,
And that went on for about 20 minutes, where we called probably 15 to 16 times in a matter of 15 minutes,
yeah.
right when we had to run back. So, and we got back to the weigh in, and I was getting them out and putting them in the bag, and all of a sudden I got 5 fish in the bag, and I had one more in the live well.
Yeah.
Well, right then I actually walked up to the tournament director, and I says, I'm going to disqualify myself, or us, team. I'm going to disqualify us. And he asked me why. I says, well, I got 6 fish, and it's always the right thing to do, because there's the alternative to do, and it's not the right thing to do. And I wouldn't have been able to live with myself if I done it.
Yeah.
So, and nobody would ever know.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that goes back to the point where it's very easy when you get in that catching mode, especially when it's crunch time, down to
Yeah.
the wire, and you have to make a run back
Yeah.
and get back at a certain time, and you're catching fish, and people don't realize how easy it is to actually make that mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because Beth and I were talking
We were.
on as I was coming here, and I told her I was like, "Hey, um, if people are being honest with you, they're going to say that they've either seen that done or um, or they've done it themselves." I even told Beth like I had to like with the cold tags. I used to have five. I got my sister from Nashville calling me. Uh, I had I used to have five cold tags,
Um,
and when I done that, I brought in six fish, and so I had to remember. All right, so I took out one cold tag, and then so I left my big fish without a cold tag, and then I knew when I used up my fourth one, I
yeah.
knew that I've got five,
Yeah.
and um, so with that, I that was how I was able to fix to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I also told Beth that I used to fish in a tournament that was a five fish tournament, and then a couple days later, I was fishing in a three fish tournament.
Oh.
Well, I went. I was fishing, and I had got on some fish, and I called probably about 7, 8 times, and I come into the tournament with three fish, and they're like, "You only caught three fish," and I'm like, "No, I called about 7, 8 times." They're like, "Well, you could have brought five."
I don't know
Oh
what hers was.
no. Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, it happens. It happens to us all.
Yeah.
And Norman, tell them about the time when the fish out the live well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's never actually happened to me. I mean, I've always been so daggum careful.
Yeah.
At the weigh-in, the first thing I always see people do this, and I'm talking seasoned veteran tournament anglers. First thing they do when they get back to the weigh-in, if they don't, if you're not allowed to load, a lot of your bigger tournaments, you're not allowed to. You have to keep your boat in water and weigh before you pull the boat out.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time. Even your really, really seasoned veterans, first thing they do when they go to pull the fish out is they open their live well lids as wide as they can and just start reaching in.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, when you open a live well, the first thing the bass do in a live well is they jump for the light. And I've actually seen two different occasions, and I'm not talking little club tournaments. I'm talking major tournaments that I was in. And one, actually, the boat was right next to me. We were pulling our fish out of the live well at the same time. And
Oh.
he had a 4 pounder, and it actually cost him big time. It cost him a cut, and it cost him a huge check.
Wow.
4 pounder, never seen deck. It came
Oh.
straight out like a missile and hit water. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, here I am with my live well crack just big enough for my arm to reach in, and that's how I've been doing it ever since I've been fishing tournaments back in the club days, where all the only the live well shut basically on my arm as I'm getting the fish
Yeah.
out, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at him and he had his live well work what wide open
Yeah.
all daylight there, and literally that fish, and it was probably a 4.5 pounder. I mean, it never hit deck. It came out of the live well and hit water about 4 foot from actually where the gunnel of his boat was. That's how high this fish went and cleared. And it impressed me just to know how much air that fish got with little room to take off, and got that high, cleared his deck, and landed in the water probably like 3.5 foot from where his gunnel was. I'm like, damn, that fish came up strong.
Well, tell them also, Norman. What do you have in your live wells to kind of help prevent that? Also,
Well, one thing I do to help prevent it is I take I don't even know what they're called. They're
Pool noodles.
pool noodles.
Yeah.
What I do is I take pool noodles And if you open I don't fish a lot of tournaments anymore. I used to fish 3, 4 tournaments, sometimes 3 tournaments a month.
Wow.
Uh, and I not fish a lot of tournaments anymore. But if you open my live well lids right now, you'll still see my pool noodles in there. But I'll take and cut pool noodles about the same length as the live well front to back. And typically, I'll have about 3 or 4 in each side. Well, what those pool noodles do is, as the water fills in your live well, they will actually float on the top of your live well. It's almost like a dummy lid.
Yeah.
When you open your live well, they actually will cover. And when you stick your arm down through it, your arm will stick down through the pool noodles. They will separate enough to get your arm down through, but they're still basically covering the whole door of
It
the
doesn't
live
allow
well.
them to see the
It
daylight.
doesn't allow them. Basically, that's what it does. It doesn't really keep them from jumping. It basically, because when they jump because they react to seeing the daylight. And they'll jump to the daylight to get out of there. So it kind of allows them from not seeing the daylight, and kind of keeps them from wanting to come out of that lid when you open it.
Yeah. And we got a couple questions
All
for
right.
y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
Michael or Mike Lindell is a buddy of ours. He fishes the Everglades, and
Okay.
he's a hoss down in the Everglades.
Okay.
So, but he says, I was wondering, is there as much drama in the female tournaments as there is in like a male uh, trail?
That's a great question.
Mhm.
And I will tell you what, Beth and I didn't realize how much drama there is, but boy, there is. And there is dock talk. And that because we fish all our tournaments, other than our women's trail, we fish against all the guys. And we absolutely love it. They have been wonderful, very supportive. If she's not there, somebody will drop me in the water or whatever. And we fish Tuesday nights in a league, and then we fish the weekends, 2 different circuits, and the guys have been just awesome. But it's interesting sometimes to hear them talk about what this is doing or this team's doing or this team's doing, and really we don't see a lot that they give to the tournament directors, but we hear there's a lot that they give to the tournament directors. And so that's the one thing we put Kai in that tournament director position because we want him to field everything, and honestly, the ladies, even when we fish the LBAA, we don't see that drama. We really don't.
No.
It's
Well, and that's one thing that I realized again was like the camaraderie. Everybody was. It did not matter really what they done, and it did, but it really didn't. They were proud of the other anglers
yeah.
for what they were able to accomplish. I
Yeah.
mean, because the person that ended up winning y'all's tournament on Chickamauga, I mean, she was a single boater,
Yeah, she fished by
and
herself.
so,
Yeah.
but I mean, she fished her tail off, and but it was pretty cool though that was able to take her daughter out, and her daughter caught that bass too. That was pretty cool.
And,
Um,
and that's like one of the, again, we when it comes down to the rules, we had I said, Kai, what's the rule? Kai's like, I don't know the rule. I'm like, dude, you're the tournament director, you should know the rule. And I was like, it's a good thing I printed it off. So like I have printed off the rules if anybody needs them, and then we also have what are those forms called? Protest forms. So if somebody wanted to protest something, they could do that as well. So we had that covered.
yeah,
So for us, it was a no-brainer. Like the rule states, even though everybody was like, "No, you don't have to enforce it," it was like, "No, we're being honest. We're sticking with the rules because that's what they're there for. It's black and white. This is the situation." But Amanda fished by herself because her boater was actually down in the Florida Keys on vacation and couldn't make it
yeah,
back.
I was kind of jealous of that.
Yeah. So
I'll say one more thing, a little bit backtracking, Lori and Beth, on the rule itself. But I've actually been a tournament director for clubs in the past, and done different things like that. And the one thing you got to realize when especially a new tournament series or a new club or a new trail, is you want to, whatever the rules say, no matter what, even if you have everybody else, yeah, you go
Right.
ahead. You always, especially a new tournament series, you don't want to be known as that's how you're going to draw future anglers
Yeah.
to come in and join you maybe in seasons down the road, is because of you stick to the guns, you stick to your rules. You don't change from month to month, change the rules around mid show. So you guys done the right thing
Yeah.
by sticking to the rule, even though everybody was saying, yeah, it's all right. You got them. You would have won regardless if you had 5 or 6 in there. Um, but with especially with the new tournament series, stick to your rules, and it's going to really be rewarding for you down the road because it people don't want to come join a series where you're always going from one side to the other, and letting stuff slide, and then and you never want to add stuff mid-season too,
Right.
uh, where you're adding rules and then subtracting rules as well.
Yeah.
We
So
had we
Mike Lindell also said, I weighed in 6 fish once. I told everybody that my 9 pounder choked it up.
good one. I like that.
We're gonna use that one.
Yeah, we should use
Uh,
it Saturday or Sunday.
right. So Amanda Quint, I don't know. Do y'all know her?
Unless I don't think it's Amanda Huff Jones. So Amanda
No,
Quinn,
it's
maybe
Amanda Beth.
she.
But
Okay.
she says this is so awesome way to go from one lady angler to another. That she said that she won a virtual tourney last year and was super stoked regardless.
Oh,
Hashtag blonde on the pond.
That's awesome, Amanda.
very
That's
good.
awesome. Congratulations and great job.
So way to go, Amanda. And so then Michael said that Norman was a hammer in Florida tournament since he was down here.
I bet.
So, and then Amanda says women root each other on. I found too. Men give us a hard time, lol, because they're jealous and we can catch fish just like them. And good sportsmanship is always key.
Well, I tell you
And
what,
so,
we have a few women anglers down in South Florida where I kind of grew up and cut my teeth fishing tournaments that they would kick most of the men anglers' tails, and I'm not gonna say any names because I don't want to leave any of them out. But there's a few down there in the Okeechobee, Clewiston area that typically usually kicks most of the men's tails at the BFLs and the bigger tournaments like that, where you got some pretty darn good anglers, and we have some women down there that kicks a lot of the men's ass, including mine most of the time when I'm on Okeechobee. So
When we fished a couple of the LBAA events, we were really surprised to hear that the women, they're like, you guys fish with the guys, like they don't care. And we're like, no, like they're awesome. Like the very first tournament we had, the best, somebody comes up to Beth and he gives her something. I'm like, Beth, what do you got in her hand? I'm talking to his partner and she goes, don't tell anybody. She said, but he just gave me these baits for this lake to use. He said, these are really good baits, but he said, don't tell his partner. And I said, okay, I won't. His name is Dave Allen. And so anyhow, the next tournament, we go to a different lake. His partner comes up to me and says, now listen, don't tell Dave, but these are really good baits to use on this lake. So we've been blessed that our guys have been so supportive of us up here. And I know a lot of the ladies down south, they don't have that support from the guys. And that's frustrating. And for us, we've been very blessed, and the other thing too, I want to say about our trails that we've worked really hard. We want to run a very professional trail. So we want it to be a smooth, and Colin, when you said it went really smooth, that means a lot to us. All of the anglers were really excited. They had a great time. They're coming back for our tournament here in June. So we're excited.
It's hard as a new tournament trail. We are constantly talking on how to make it better.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to see sometimes the good of what went well. So we appreciate your perspective on that one,
that
Colin,
helps.
because it's hard to see it from the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we're excited about that.
And another question is from Mike Lindell again. He says, in Florida, the big news on tournaments is accidents and anglers lawyering up and not just sue the boat owners, but go after the trails. Waivers mean nothing in Florida, so the trail His trail is getting event insurance, which will raise the entry $5 a boat. Not trying to scare you, but do y'all have that problem or that issue up
Yes.
north?
So thank you very much. It's a great point to point out.
Yep.
And
we
we are fully insured.
researched insurance,
Yeah.
and we fully
We're fully insured out of a really nice gentleman that we met, Kay Donaldson, who runs the Alabama Bass Trail, actually gave me this gentleman's number from Alabama. And we reached out and we talked to him and we explained, because the other part about our tournament is on Sunday, but on Saturday we have an opportunity for anyone to come and learn. For any ladies who want to learn about fishing, they go to the website, they sign up for that
Workshop.
presentation. It's a 4-hour workshop. About an hour and a half will be at Cabela's. We tried to do all of our shows somewhere close to Cabela's. The one that didn't happen in Chattanooga was because Beth was still on spring break. She wasn't on spring break yet, so she couldn't make it there. So that was a last ad. So our other ones, we have that presentation first, and we actually have a meet and greet Friday night. So we'll have a meet and greet where everybody can get together, get to know each other. Then if they want to attend the workshop, they can, and then the tournament's the next day. So if we have new anglers who are like, I don't even know how a tournament runs, they can see how it runs. But we did get fully insured, and we're shocked to find out some of the circuits that we fished in prior don't carry insurance. And so we wanted to make sure. We do have a waiver form that has all been filled out and signed and documented, but everyone in our tournament circuit is insured. We are, our businesses, and our tournament director.
Yeah. But we do know, just like Michael said, it's hard to bring that waiver into a court.
Yeah, but I will say next year we will probably have to add, because that was a big chunk of change we were not expecting to pay. So right now we're totally in the hole.
Yeah. So when we thought we might have won our tournament, we were like, we can pay that bill and that bill and that bill, but those bills just go right into the live well like that 6 fish did.
So,
Right. Yeah, I made a banner. It says, in a 5-fish tournament, you can only have 5 fish, not 6. So, but, and like I told Beth when I was talking to her earlier, I was like, y'all take that so well. I mean, you could see the disappointment in y'all's face, but y'all took it well. And then when and I was like, I have to kind of bring it up. I have to, and she said, yeah, you bring it up, and I won't say the other parts, but we'll just say it happened once.
Yeah, we did it
We'll
twice.
just say it happened.
We just wanted to make sure what it felt like, because we forgot, so we wanted to do it twice.
So actually we had a tournament this past Sunday, and it was our first tournament here in Ohio.
Yeah.
And our buddy who actually bought our boat, Flasher, we've become great friends, and he's just phenomenal. And he, as a joke, had call tags mailed to our house. So when we got back from Tennessee and Kentucky run, we had brand new call tags. But he didn't realize we were already looking for call tags because some of our call tags were broken. So you couldn't balance beam the fish because the loop was broken. So he was really helping us out.
He was.
So we did the same thing on Saturday or Sunday. We had a great tournament. We found these fish, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about 2 of the products that really helped us with the fish. And we did the call tags, but some of the fish were so big that they slipped the call tag, like it popped, slid out. And then we're in a brand new boat. We're in a Bass Cat, which is an unbelievable boat. It's our first time ever running a Bass Cat. Mm-hmm. Well, they have live wells that are, I'll do this.
Colin Whitney.
They are deep.
Yeah, they're deep. They're like longer than my wingspan. I mean, and
all the way up to your shoulder.
All the way up to, I mean, so Beth and I put all the fish into the one live well after we weighed them. This is the 4th or 5th time that we already counted our fish because we were calling and we were bounce beaming. Now we had to pull out the MLF thing to actually get a digital weight. It's raining, it's blowing,
It's like
she's
blowing 40.
it's
out
blowing
there.
40. She's writing on my phone. She's putting in the weights on the phone. So then we empty the one live well, and so we have a little a
We have
net,
dip net.
a dip net, because it helps get fish out.
Yes. Shout out to Leslie.
Yeah,
Who
Leslie
taught me
Anderson.
that one.
Yeah, in the LBA. So Beth does the dip net. I said, Beth, that's just I've got to get down in there. So I stick my hand down in there because there's this V in the bottom. There's this little V. So I stick my hand down there and I'm like, no, you're exactly right. There are no fish in here, none. And she's like, okay, awesome. We've got 5. So we move the biggest fish over because she just caught a good one and another big one over. So now we know it's 2 and it's 3. We're done with the tournament. We go ahead and we pull on in. I get up in the boat. Beth is holding the bag. I'm putting the fish in. And of course, guys are coming over. Girls, how'd you do? How'd you do? Oh, we had a great day. We did what we think we're around 10, maybe 11 pounds.
Yeah.
We're doing great. So I'm
Because
throwing them in
we knew it was going to take either like 13, 15,
to
maybe.
win.
Yeah.
We knew 13 won the day before.
Yeah. But we knew we were close.
Yeah, we might have been in the money because there were 55 boats.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I'm throwing them in. I said, Beth, I swear I did 35. She goes, yeah, I think so. She goes, why? And I go, because there's one left. And she goes, what? And I mean, both of us were like, I said, there's one in the bottom. The guy goes, and I turned I quit throwing the water out. And I was like, oh my God, there is a 6th fish. So we tagged it, we threw it in the bag, and we went up and we said, Booney runs, he's tournament director. I said, we got to be disqualified.
Yep.
Girls, what happened? I said, it happened
We did it again.
Yeah, now you didn't realize too. I was saying how it is kind of easy when it gets in the first time. You've done it twice. I've never heard of somebody doing it 3 times. So the pressure
Tell you a third time.
So I want to stay on the subject to that tournament you're talking about. Now that tournament was in a small lake in Ohio, correct?
Yep, Indian Lake.
Yeah, it was kind of in a small lake because you guys done a live on a Facebook Live on the way back, and I just thought the Facebook Live was spot on. What you talked about, the products that really helped you catch them fish, and one of the products you're talking about, and you get into the other products as far as the electronics is concerned, but one of the products you had mentioned is power poles. Now, I guess you guys are kind of new to having power poles on the back of your boat.
Yeah,
Brand
new.
Get into a little bit of how crucial the power poles are to actually be able to fish when you have not so good conditions with the power poles, and how they allow you to fish and fish effectively.
Before you do that, that Amanda Quint, she said, I need to come fish with you guys. She said she's 45 minutes away from Kentucky Lake, but looking to venture out. I'm friendly, everyone. Or I guess she's friending everyone up. So glad to come across this on my feed. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I took a screenshot so y'all have her name to maybe where y'all can reach out to her, to where get her on the trail with y'all too. So I didn't want to forget it before because there's comments and people on here will go by and I'll forget about it.
It's a revolving cycle.
Yeah. Also, let her know too. We're going to be at Kentucky Lake for our championship. So if she wants to meet in person, that would be awesome. We're going to be there May 4th and 5th. We're hoping to get out there to pre-fish on the 2nd. And so Fast Eddie's, we love to go to Fast Eddie's and eat there at Fast Eddie's, but we'll be there if she wants to come to the weigh-in. We'll be weighing in at Moore's, and she can reach out to us and we'll talk, let her know. But thank you, Colin, for that. But so go ahead.
While you're still on that aspect, and then we'll get back to the power pole. Can you kind of tell everybody what tournaments that y'all have coming up with the Two Chicks in the Boat?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like Lori said, it usually comes in like a trio, like where Friday we do a meet and greet, Saturday we have a women workshop, and then Sunday we have a tournament. So, with that schedule being said, we have June 2nd.
third, and fourth.
It's June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So, Friday meet and greet, Saturday workshop, Sunday, June 4th, will be at Alum Creek in New Galena, Ohio. Will be our tournament for that one, and then we move to July. And I just went blank on the dates, so that's why Lori's here.
July, we're going to be there July 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Thank you.
I believe that's that. And we're going to go out of Obnob, never heard of it, but Ramp. So it's got a really nice campground there, campsite there, and everything for people who might want to fish that one. So we'll be on South Holston Lake. And again, the one thing too, I just want to, pardon me, in Bristol, Tennessee. The one thing too about our workshops is we want to do our best to get people out on the water, not out on the water, but fishing from shore to actually fish.
Near
So,
the water.
so they're going to have like an hour of instruction, then we're going to fish, then they'll have a little more instruction, then we're going to fish. We're going to use different types of baits. So that's what we're hoping to do. The third and final, which will be our fourth tournament for the year.
We'll be in Indiana, and it is on Lake Geist,
Yep.
and that is September.
8th,
Thank you.
9th, and 10th.
Thank you.
So Friday night meet and greet, Saturday is the workshop, and Sunday will be the tournament. And we've got
Now,
sponsor for that tournament. Soremouth Tackle is our sponsor, is going to be helping out with that tournament and sponsoring us as well.
They have a great tackle shop.
Great
Plus-
tackle shop, and that's we're going to have our meeting there and everything.
Yeah.
And they're real supporters of women in fishing.
right now, and we got Dylan from Talking Tackle just hopped on here. He probably just got off the water. He's been crushing some big uns here, and so he's gonna, if he keeps on showing these things, he's gonna have somebody like a skier behind his boat, because I'm gonna be hooking up to his boat here soon. So, but if Amanda wants to, she can still come on to the tournament trail this year still, right?
Yep, she can. Every tournament's open. And we want you, ideally, we want you to come as a team, so that you have a boater and you're coming as a team, somebody has a boat. The tournament at Chickamauga, Angie Scott, the Woman Angler podcast, the Woman Angler and Adventurer, she's phenomenal. She lives close by, so she was able to come and fish that tournament. And we actually had a lady that we met 4 years ago when we did a Akron boat show. We were up there speaking. She lives in Canton, and she came down and pre-fished with me, and then she fished the tournament with Angie. So that was her first tournament.
So our goal would be, if you don't have a teammate, that we would help pair you with one.
Right.
That would be our goal.
But y'all done that on Chickamauga too.
That's what we did. Yeah.
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 So Dylan, with him just now getting on, he asked how did the tournament go on Chickamauga. So if you kind of want to make it quick to where
It went great. It went great. People used the baits they donated, so thank you very much, Dylan, for donating. The feedback from people, they enjoyed having a meeting there. That was fine. It was comfy. And
there was a learning curve for these two chicks, but it didn't
but
matter.
you can
All
just
the other
rewind and hit that. Yeah.
All the other women did well and got to bring home some money and some prizes, and
we're still in the hole.
and they've said they all want to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's my retirement. I took a job at Spirit, people.
right.
I got to pay for fishing.
Okay, so that's all I was wanting to make sure that I said something about Amanda to y'all.
Awesome. Thank you.
Because I did not want to, I knew that she was interested in it and stuff like that. So I was at least wanting to, and I'll send y'all the screenshot of her name to where y'all can get in contact with her. So get back to Norman's question.
Okay.
And the power poles.
So really, when we get connected with people or connected with products, we really try them out before we really ever give them a shout out, because we want to be honest, and we want people who are just getting into fishing to realize what works for us and stuff like that. So we're really kind of selective on this. And when we had this new boat built, we actually were at ICAST and ran into Chris Lane
Yeah,
down
I'll
there.
say a friend of mine, Chris Lane. But I was his marshal on Lake Champlain a few years ago. But it was nice that he remembered me.
Yes.
I think he remembered
And so
me.
he introduced us to Casey, and Casey was fantastic. And so, long story short, we made a change on our boat order, and we went with the power pole blades. So when we first had the power pole blades, and again, you guys, we've never had those. So it's a whole new, brand new thing for us to learn. And when I was in Lake Chickamauga, I found there were different places, and I would forget that I can use my power pole, and I would hit the trolling motor spot lock, on the Garmin Force. And I was like, oh, I don't need to do this. I can hit the power poles. So I got some practice in, which was great. But then in this tournament on Sunday, that lake is a really shallow lake, and they have a nature preserve, and they have a ton of lily pads, just lily pads, like lily pads everywhere, lily pads. Kind of what Florida has grass, they have lily pads. Mm-hmm. So we figured we caught a fish. We were paying attention kind of to where the wind was blowing in, and I ended up getting a good fish as the wind was coming in kind of underneath the willow tree, close to lily pads and some wood. Mm-hmm. We finished along that area, and then we went up to another spot, and I cast it in and got a good hit, and just let the worm trickle down and got another good fish. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we're power pulling down. So it was blowing and it was windy, and we were in about 4 feet of water, and our poles are 10-foot poles, mm-hmm. because we want to be able to use them up at Lake Erie, to hit some of those marks as well. And the next thing I know, I've got another fish, and then Beth's like, way to go. And now we're at 4 fish because we've been counting. So we're at 4 fish. And then next cast, I have another fish. And on that fish, I had the live scope because the power poles were down and holding us. I was able to use the live scope, the Garmin live scope, and see what was going on. I saw a flurry of fish. So Beth was like, man, way to go. And I was like, we got 5 fish. We got 5 call tags, 5 fish. We're good to go. Well, we just sat on that spot, and we caught fish after fish and called those out. And then we decided, okay, we're going to move. We're not getting any bigger. So we moved, and there were times that we would just put those poles down, and they would hold us. If we needed to net a fish, when you had a good one, mm-hmm. I put the poles down, so I could grab the net and not worry about being blown all over the lake. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. And I think the big thing for us is yes, they're brand new. They're my favorite buttons on the boat because we have the Bluetooth button on the front. I love to double click them. Uh-huh. But as a team for Lori and I, we thought at first a few years ago when we had Spot Lock, it was a game changer.
It took us from here, our tournament fishing from here to here, the Spot Lock did. Yeah.
Because, you get blown off your spot. But now we not only can stay on that spot because we still have Spot Lock, but those poles can position our boat to where we're both targeting. We needed to target lily pads, and we needed to target wood. And that's how we got all of our fish. Yeah. And those poles, because you could tell even other boats that didn't have poles or might have been bigger aluminum boats, they were getting blown, we were holding. Yeah.
Well, the one thing with power poles too, and it's kind of part of their slogan as well: silent and secure.
Yeah.
So the power poles will secure you, but the other thing is they're silent, mm-hmm. and even when it's not blowing hard, but you still have a breeze. And there's so many different ways you could use power poles, not only to stay on your fish, but if you have a little breeze, even if it's not strong, and you catch a fish and you're having to cull a fish, or you could lock the power poles down, and when you get done culling, it might take you, 2-3 minutes to make sure you get the right call. You're still there versus, and the thing about it is, even like you're talking about Spot Lock, with Spot Lock, even if you have a trolling motor on Spot Lock, it's still turning. The trolling motor's still going. So that takes the silent out, especially when there's not a lot of breeze, but there's not a lot of wind where it's making a lot of surface noise.
Right.
But you still have that breeze where if you don't man yourself while you're fooling around with your fish in the live well, you're still going to be, 100 yards down the shoreline, even with a small breeze blowing. Well, with the spot lock, it's still making noise under the water when you have it on spot lock because the trolling motor's having to constantly work to keep you there.
Well,
Where the
you say that, but that new power pole move,
that
it is a what would be a game changer.
that's what I was kind of
Oh,
calling it
No,
the
so
word right, and kind of leading into that.
but
well,
But yeah, the new move that Power Pole has out is a new state of the art game changer.
it is you.
From
It has
yeah,
no noise, and
mhm,
like how you can hear the head on the trolling motor turn
Yeah.
on all the other ones, and you don't hear none of it. It's a brushless
yeah,
trolling motor,
mhm.
so the whole thing is quiet. And um, speaking of like Chris Lane, I mean he's had it on, and like if you see the videos that he's done,
yeah,
and he's going through the grass like it's nothing, and
Yeah,
it's just one just going right through it,
yeah.
and but that kind of going to like what Norman was saying. Like there, another saying is for they want to have total boat control,
Total boat
and so
control.
now they, you know how they started out with the power poles, and
right.
then they moved themselves up.
Then they went to the Power Pole
Yeah,
charge, which also gives
Now,
you total
so,
boat control, not only
right.
with your power poles, not only with your cranking battery, but with all your charging
So
in the back,
that's what.
which basically keeps you going all day because that power pole charge is actually charging all day as you're running and as you're fishing.
So that
Uh, Versus when you're using a lot of batteries all day with your live wells. Now with all your electronics, these electronics and big electronics you have today,
right,
they take so much more amperage to run. So they're using a lot more battery than your electronics of old. So
right,
now with the power pole charge, so there's just so many different ways that power pole is actually taken the industry by storm with, and just like they say, total. Now it's the point where it actually is total boat control over your whole boat, not only the power poles but your whole boat. Now you have total control over everything.
right. So one thing, Norman, I was just going to say because when we got our boat, that was not available. So I will
yeah,
say our Garmin Force is 100% quiet because it's a brushless than
Yeah,
compared to the one we had before in our other boat. And it's the other thing too about the Garmin is super light. I thought it was going to be hard to deploy and heavy, and I can do an 8-hour tournament deploying it by myself, and it's no big deal. I'm anxious to see the power pole, to see what that's like. But we do have on our boat, we did equip it with the charge and
oh,
lithium.
you did get it.
Yeah. So Beth
Oh,
is
that's awesome.
let her tell you a little bit because she's more of the mechanical. I want to make things fix, and I'm like I just want it easy and push a button,
Yeah.
So
I need to know. I mean, I know everybody knows a guy, and we do know a guy, but
we know a lot
I
of
want to
guys.
be able to know like why is this not working and how can I
Right.
fix it while we're on the water. But
Yeah,
the power pole charge and the power poles they are worth every penny,
Every single
every
yeah,
single penny.
yeah.
Um, I will have to tell you real quick, those power poles, we could not. We got our Garmin trolling motor. It wasn't deploying
Oh yeah.
on our
Gosh, that's a
tournament
good
on
point.
Sunday for a quick second, and so those poles held us with all that wind in order to get that garment
Yeah.
deployed.
And it was just a button that we didn't
Yeah.
somehow it got
Yeah.
caught. The
But
cord
thank
caught on
thank
it.
goodness we had the poles. As far as the charge goes, the charge will have the Sea Monster app that goes on your phone. We equipped our boat with 3 lithium Pro Guide batteries and a Pro Guide AGM battery. So there is never a time that we'll be out on that lake, even when it's blowing 50 and you've got every electronic and live well and power poles, everything working, you're not going to go dead
Yeah.
because
No,
you can
and
control it, just like Norman said, you can control it to give more juice to your trolling motors, or you can give more juice to your AGM cranking battery.
yeah,
And we have been fishing for 5 days before, and we never once charged our boat
When we
because
when we left Tennessee, we went to Kentucky to visit
Yeah.
with friends and to fish in Kentucky, and we didn't we
8 hour
did
days.
8-hour days and didn't charge the boat
Yeah.
once. So it's
It's
amazing. It's just
yeah.
that's
amazing.
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
100%.
and it also gives you a secure, like makes you feel secure, especially when you're at a body of water that you really don't know, and like how y'all travel to all these different lakes, to know that I know my batteries are going to be able to get me going to where, and so we really like the charge. We haven't got it yet, but we are.
Yeah.
That's the next thing that we could have used it the other week.
Yeah.
We had we were out in Norman's boat, and he well, we had the units going, and his batteries. What you said, the batteries were what, 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
They were older batteries,
Sure.
and
Well, here's the thing too. I actually, when we got back, I had them checked. I took them down and had them checked, and the batteries tested good. So,
right,
so the battery, I actually thought it was a battery issue, just a battery going bad. But the batteries are good, so we used the batteries.
yeah.
And that's why we actually couldn't start the motor. We actually had to.
We had to troll about 2 miles.
Yeah, and we pushed our way
Upstream.
back, which was so good. And luckily that day, which is kind of uncommonly light current that
Yeah,
day, which
that was a blessing.
yeah,
That's good.
if the current was doing what it normally does there, it would have been almost virtually impossible to troll back against it.
Yeah. Well, we are at an hour and 10 minutes,
I know.
and
Dude,
I just now looked at it, and I'm like, goodness gracious! I knew that this one would go by quick because we surely love talking to y'all,
Oh, it's been
and
You guys
Yeah.
too.
we love every time that we get to talk to y'all and get to hang out with you.
Yeah.
We're definitely looking forward to seeing y'all down at ICAST. We're gonna have to go grab a bite to eat or something.
For sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
And so, but because Norman took me to this steakhouse that is kind of right behind the hotel that we went, and I guarantee it's the best steakhouse that you will ever eat at.
Awesome.
And
Count
so-
us in. Count us in.
And
Check.
so
I made a believer out of
Yeah.
a big
There you
I
go.
won't
believer.
I won't tell you that it's not part of the mafia, but I mean, it could be.
That's what, you might fish with some guys who who knows. So, guys,
But
we really appreciate
we got a couple more questions though
Oh,
for
okay.
you
Gus.
before we kind of wrap this up. And so, Norman, what you got?
Yeah, growing up, and I guess you guys started fishing at a pretty young age. Like most anglers do back. You kind of had the fishing bug when you were young. As far as a role model or mentors that you kind of looked up to in the industry, as you were young ladies growing up, really getting involved in the sport. Uh, who was your role models? And you don't. I mean, what it doesn't even need to be somebody in the fishing industry.
Our big name or something
or,
like that.
or it doesn't even have to be a big name. Who did you guys look up to as younger ladies growing up in the sport? Really wanting to further yourself.
Go for it.
Well, I learned from my dad how to fish, but it was mainly bobber fishing. So I didn't even realize that there was such the tournament fishing. I thought you needed to be on TV to do all of that fancy stuff, have a ton of money. But eventually when we got into tournament fishing, it was really Kai that helped us learn about fishing, and then Steve and Mike at Knox Marine truly helped us learn about. Or for me,
Steve would take us.
yeah, he'd take us on his boat and he would whack a lot of fish. Right? I mean, I thought he'd break his rod. That's how quick he'd set the hook. But he showed us a bunch of different techniques that were needed to do tournament fishing, and took the time to really show us a lot of things. So I
That's
really
awesome.
appreciate Steve.
He'd look at us and he goes, "You got your dollar ready?" And we're like, "What?" And he'd go, "Ptoom," and he would just pull out a 5-pounder from underneath the dock. So, I was like, "Got your dollar ready?" And he
Still
just
don't know
like
how he
that.
does that.
But for me, my dad would take me fishing when I was a kid, but then, work and things got in the way. So I would go to school. I had a teacher that on the last day of 6th grade, we had to walk to this pond, and the picnic was at this pond, and it was a walk, let me tell you. And all the guys made fun of me because I had a little empty fish food jar, and inside that empty fish food jar was a hula popper. And so I'm 6th grade girl, the only 6th grade girl bringing a fishing pole to the last day of school party. And
I hate to cut you off, but the hula popper still catches them today, too.
let me tell you. And so
Yes,
all the
it
guys were making fun of me. And Mark Edison, he's in Japan. If he gets to watch this, he'll know what I'm talking about. But you guys were like, that's not going to catch anything. It's not going to catch anything. And I was like, I don't know. I think it will, because it worked at the pond behind my house. So my teacher came out, Mr. Allmiller, and he was like, Lori, he said, keep doing it. He said, you got a good one following it. I was like, okay. And I still to this day, I don't know how guys can see fish in the water. We're getting better, but I'm popping it, and a 5.5-pound bass just chokes it.
Oh, that's the best. To me, that is the best feeling. And
I reel it in. He talks to me. He's like, keep reeling, keep reeling. I was like, Mr. Allmiller, like, this thing's huge. And then all of a sudden, like, everybody's around me looking at me, and I was like, yeah, you said the pole and the popper were crazy to bring on the last day of school. And then they sign your book to the girl, like, people I didn't even know, to the girl who caught a big fish, you know? so
awesome.
For me, I really, there were, you saw Bill Dance, you saw Linder Fish, Shaw Grigsby, I think, had a show at one point in time, and you'd watch those guys on Saturday mornings. But for me, truthfully, it was Jose Wahebe. When he launched his show in '95, I would watch that religiously.
His show, I really loved his show.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And just the stuff that he would do was just phenomenal. And how he would interact the people that was in his boat, or if he'd go out with somebody, how he would interact everybody with it was pretty much top of the line. He was doing things that people wasn't really doing. I mean,
Well,
the fishing shows now kind of mock off of what he done.
some of them do, but the one thing is they still miss the mark. The one thing about his show is he would talk to you, which was the camera, but I am in Columbus, Ohio, where 12-inch fish is like a good one, and I believed that I could go to the Florida Keys and catch fish. He just gave me that confidence that I too could do this. And actually in 2004, I went to the Florida Keys and got my captain's license, because I was like, this is what I want to do. And my mom was panicked because she was like, you can't leave teaching. And I'm like, you can't move down there and do that. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So I had it in 2004, but then actually when I retired, I went back down in 2001 and got the license. So I actually have my captain's license, because in 2004, I didn't have the hours that I needed. And everybody was like, you just lie. You just have people sign this paperwork and lie about it. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't lie. So I took it from Captain Flynn down there in the Florida Keys. I've got a great nephew. He's down there fishing the Florida Keys. And I hope one day he becomes a captain and I can be his first mate. Other than I can't.
That'd be awesome.
But so for me, that was my person.
Yeah. Now, go ahead.
But Jose did such a great job about conservation.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yes,
How many guys really will get their hook stuck or any line and take their clothes off and jump in the water and go get that and
fish
bring
and
that
catch
right
the fish in the rod,
bring it right back to the boat. He was so genuine. He was like dad.
Yeah, we really wish we had the opportunity to meet him. We have met his daughter, actually, ICAST, Chrissy Wahebe. So we stay in touch with her. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But he had a huge impact.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah.
And
Now, we ask this to everybody, the anglers that come on to our podcast. If you could have one person to come on y'all's boat that is living or have passed, does not have to be a pro fisherman or anything like that, who would you want on your boat, and why would you want them on your boat? Just to spend a day on the water.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I'm gonna
I'm gonna answer.
I have a feeling I know you're gonna say.
And my mom. I would love to. My mom passed away in 2009, and I remember like when we got our boat, she's like, "Boat, bust out another 1,000," and she was like,
Yeah.
and she was like, "You guys aren't going to use that much. You're so busy." And then she saw like Barry Davis over at Gander Mountain. He had a class, and we went to his class and learned how to fish and do stuff there. And then when I was fishing once in the Florida Keys, I went out with a guy backcountry fishing. And mom's like, I don't feel good about you going out there by yourself. I'm going to come with you. I was like, okay, great. And he gave her she brought a book to read. And he goes, nobody reads on my book, or nobody reads a book on my boat. And so she ended up catching a Jack Crevalle, and she was like, oh my gosh, I get it, and I would love to fish with her now and take my sister out, which I do get to take my sister out. We fish now, but I would love for my mom, my sister to, my sister's still alive, but to come out and fish with us, I think
Yeah.
it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. And your answer?
Well, I mean, no offense to my dad, he has passed away. But I mean, I'd like him on the boat, but I really would like to have Jose Wahebe on the
yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
Just to be able to sit there and talk to him and just be a sponge of all, like, it's not just about fishing, but all of his knowledge, and just to tell him about our journey and
Yeah.
how we've come from, not really knowing anything to now, and just to share stories
And-
back and forth.
And truthfully, how much of an impact that he's had on us, that we were so hopeful to meet him on
Yeah.
the 13th, Saturday before we flew back, and then unfortunately he was in that plane crash. But yeah, it was a tough day.
Great question.
I know.
Wow.
That was fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I I've had that question. Well, not fishing wise, but I've had it asked to me, like, if I was to sit like on a park bench and stuff like that, who
Yeah.
would I want to sit down and talk to?
Yeah.
And so I kind of and to me, like, if I had, because growing up, I mean, I grew up fishing and I grew up playing baseball and stuff like that, but I always, Ken Burns done a documentary over baseball, so it showed like each inning, like each episode was like inning one, two, three. So, but it went through like the decades of baseball, and so he got to the Negro leagues and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, and had Buck O'Neill on there, and he was like one of the, I guess you say, like, bigger guys that was in the Negro leagues. But here, just having him that, or watching a video of him talking and then seeing other interviews, every time he was talking about baseball, it's like his face just lit up. And so I was like, I would love to just have him, like, just sit next to him, in which he's passed too, but I would have loved to just been able to kind of just pick his brain on stuff like that. And so I was like, when we started this podcast, Norman and I were talking, and we're like, we need to have a question that kind of, it's cool to just see who people would want to have on the boat. And
That's cool.
and so I kind of changed that question to the fishing aspect, because I mean, we've had Larry Nix, people say Larry Nix, Bill Dance. A lot of people said I want, like Scott Martin. He said he wanted his grandfather.
Yeah.
And
We've had two or three, say Larry Nixon, and
Yeah.
then Greg Hackney.
Greg
has been
Hackney.
mentioned.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. So
And this is actually pros on the Elite Series that's actually wanting to one day with Larry Nixon, or even Greg Hackney was mentioned by a couple of the Elite Series pros that they'd love Greg on the boat as well.
I was on his boat.
Yeah.
I was his marshal. I like Champlain too.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
awesome.
And Larry
Yeah.
Nixon, we actually met him at a boat show. He came in at Knox Marine, and we had a map of Kentucky Lake. And he's like, "Let me show you some spots to go." And we're like, "Oh my gosh!" And it worked out. So he put it on there, and then Dave Stewart. I don't know if you guys know him. He's from Kentucky. Unfortunately, he's since passed, but we had this map that had all this awesome information, and it might be at the bottom of the lake.
We went in for lunch and then blew right out the boat.
uh, so
It happens.
well, we thoroughly love having y'all on here,
Thank you. We had a
and
blast.
so we're definitely going to have y'all on again because I want to kind of let everybody kind of follow through y'all's tournament trail this year and stuff like that to kind of to where they can kind of see. We want to help grow that as much as
Yeah.
possible. And
Thank you.
so, but Norman, do you want to tell who we got coming on next week?
Yeah, guys, next week episode, you don't want to miss it. We have our special guest is going to be a legendary bass fisherman. Shaw Grisby will be our guest on next week's show. So it's going to be a must see episode. So all the viewers, make sure you start getting your questions ready for Shaw. You'll be able to actually, again, remember this is a live interactive podcast, which Colin, I don't know if I don't think there's too many fishing podcasts that actually is interactive
No.
where the viewers get the opportunity to interact with us as we're doing a podcast and ask us spot on live questions where we could actually answer you right there on as we're doing it live. So, and again with Sean, you'll be able to ask Shaw any questions you want to ask him that you might have for him. But yeah, you don't want to miss next week's episode. So it's gonna be a spot on episode with Shaw Grisby
Yeah.
on as our guest.
So,
He's awesome.
but we that is going to be a fun episode. But this episode today has got to be one of my favorite. I don't think we've laughed as much on a episode.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that fishing is a sport to where everybody messes up and everybody is on a even playing field. It doesn't matter if you're male or female because the females, like what Norman said, can wear us out just as easy as the guys. And so we love what y'all are doing and we fully support you. And we want y'all to know that if you need us, we are here. We'll help y'all out whenever, however we can.
Awesome.
And we just want y'all to know that we really love y'all and we're ready to see y'all again.
I know. Colin, yeah.
We love you guys too, and you guys are such a special key to what we've been able to do with our trail, and it was meant to be for us to meet on the bus, and we can't wait to get back on the bus with you.
Because it was a big gamble. We didn't know what lake to go to, and you're like, well, bring it here, and I'll help you out. And now I'm going to tell you, we got to step up our game for the rest of the tournament trail because you really helped us out a lot. And the one thing about fishing is it's you meet people and your family. It's like your friends, but your family, and it's like you would do anything to help somebody out. And we greatly appreciate this opportunity and
that's the cool thing about fishing too, especially like your tournament fishing or in general just fishing. It's unlike other sports where when you're on the water competing against other teams or other anglers, you're on the water, you're fishing against them, you're basically enemies with them on the water. But as soon as you load that boat, we're all one big fishing family. We're there for everybody. We're there to help everybody out. Somebody's in trouble. It doesn't matter if you've met them one time or 20 times. Most anglers is always spot on there to help another a fishing family member out if they need help. So, and that's the cool thing about our sport. And you don't find that in a lot of other sports. Stick and ball sports, you never find that type of a family atmosphere in like you will fishing.
We wholeheartedly agree with that.
100% spot on.
And we've witnessed it.
Oh yeah, we have. And we appreciate guys everything. And who knows, we might be back to Lake Chick next year.
Yes.
For our tournament.
Heck yeah.
We'll keep you
so and if you guys have not got enough of Lori and Beth and Two Chicks in a Boat, they just done a another podcast. Am I right?
Yep,
Yes.
we
They
sure did.
with Angie Scott, and
Yeah.
if you are wanting to hear another great podcast,
Yeah.
go check out Angie's podcast. And I say that, and I just drew a blank.
It,
What's the
it's the
what's the
woman,
Angler and
yeah,
adventurer.
the woman
Yeah.
angler
yeah
and adventurer, and
And
she,
I'll say you got to check out Angie's podcast too because she is literally killing it. I
yeah,
think they just had about a month and a half ago. I think she ended up they had a voting,
yeah,
and
and
I
she
think her
won.
podcast was
Yep, she
ranked
won.
the
Yep,
number one fishing podcast. Am I
Yeah,
correct, Lori and
yeah.
Yeah.
yep,
Beth?
She,
So that was really really cool.
yeah, she does a fantastic job. This was actually our second time with her. The first time we did it, we were wearing our little jerseys and it was like a video,
Yeah.
and we
And I'll tell
laughed.
you,
My cat went walking across the screen, and so this time, but Angie, she does such a great job of having on
yeah.
so many different female anglers or just anything,
Oh
hunters,
yeah, and
anybody
what?
in women's business. Like it's
She has this ability to connect
Yeah.
everyone
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
one thing with Angie too, of course, me and Colin with Deck Talk Podcast being, this is our first season, our first year doing it. We're kind of all new to this
yeah.
game of podcasting, and we actually got hooked up with Angie Scott through iBass 360. With both me and Colin are a part of the
Well, they are
iBass
too.
360 team, and you guys as well,
Just now, just
and
Yeah.
yeah,
and we actually talked to Angie on numerous occasions, kind of as a question and answer type thing as we are trying to get started. Kind of picked her brain a little bit
Yeah,
to help us out. Being that we're kind of new at this game right now,
She's
yeah.
a
so
wealth of
she
knowledge.
really was there to any questions we had for her. She was there to help us as we're kind of trying to get started with this.
yeah.
So and again, shout out to Angie, and thank you for that as well. If you see this, Angie.
So, but I will not, or we will not keep y'all any longer because I know that. Well, Beth told me that she had to chow down some food before she got on here, but
And
Lori, we
I gotta
will.
go back and correct some
Yeah.
planes. Yeah.
Well, make sure you blow him the kisses.
I
So,
will. I
uh,
will. If he needs me, I got to send him a text. But yeah, I always blow up a kiss. So I did.
That's awesome.
You know.
so but again, we thoroughly enjoyed this. I think this has been one of the funnest episodes that we've
Yes.
done,
Awesome.
and we will.
Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
Can't wait
So,
to revisit the topics and it'll be fun the next time and it'll be a fun chat. So and
So
we'll have to do this again really really soon.
yeah.
we'll give you the
So,
hard and a mwah.
so,
Thanks,
but
guys.
again, yeah. So we guys, we're going to end this right here. And again, if you want to get in contact with Lori and Beth, I've got their website right here down below on the bottom of the screen, which I've kept it up pretty much the whole time that we've been going. So go check out their website. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram. I think that's all that y'all are on, right? Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had Twitter. We let that one go.
Yeah.
We
I don't blame
should
you.
keep up. And we're not going into TikTok land. We do have a YouTube channel though. We do have a
Yeah,
YouTube.
that's right. That's right. And it's
Yeah.
hard to remember. It happens to be two chicks in a boat on YouTube. So, but definitely go check their YouTube out. Hit that like and subscribe. And while you're there on YouTube, hit that Deck Talk Podcast YouTube. Hit subscribe to it, and
And hit that notification bell to
Yeah.
get notified when we're gonna be coming on.
yep. So we're gonna get off here. I've been up since about 10 o'clock last night. I've had about an hour and 15-minute nap since then.
My stomach's eating my
And-
backbone, by the
and
way. I don't know if you
Norman's-
can get to the mic, but my stomach's been hurting for the last half an hour.
So, but we're gonna get off here, and we hope to see y'all out on the water,
Thoroughly
and
enjoyed it.
and
Sounds good.
we hope that Y'all live the passion, and we will see y'all later.
All right, guys. Top lines, everybody, with the passion, and
Yeah.
see ya.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.